A shocking home invasion in Aurora, Colorado, now being linked to the most vicious and bloodthirsty criminal migrant gang operating in America. ICE is now confirming 16 suspected members of the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, have been taken into custody for allegedly kidnapping and torturing two victims. It happened at the same apartment complex that we kept showing you back over the summer, where armed migrant men were seen roaming the halls with their guns. The horrific crime now raising questions about whether Colorado officials and the media downplayed the presence of this gang in Colorado. Here's the Aurora police chief.
They were pistol whipped, they were beat, they were mistreated. One of the male was actually stabbed, he had a stab wound. So does that fall in the category of torture for me? Yeah, it does. It is incredibly hard to identify specifically as TDA because there is no specific markers. There's a high assumption that they may be affiliated with the TDA gang. But again, I am not going to say 100% positively until that is validated and verified.
Trump's incoming border czar has a message for the Aurora police chief after the arrest of the suspected gang members.
So he's talking the talk, but let's hope he walks the walk and hand these people to ICE when he's done with them, because we can remove them not only from the community but from the country. And if law enforcement officers don't help us do that, we're certainly going to do that starting January 21st.
Criminal migrants are causing chaos in the nation's biggest city. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is opening up to Martha McCallum on how he plans to get them out.
I thought our conversation was a great conversation. Tom and I both sat down, and we both agree on violent individuals should not remain in our country. What we should be doing at our border, we could be making that determination. Are we going to allow you to come in? We're creating a pipeline of criminality by creating these terrible criteria.
Judge, in Colorado, we were talking about this story, and you remember you had local officials, a congressman, and the governor even saying, it's actually not that big a deal, it's not a problem. And then you had this situation.
Well, it was clear that they were telling us not to believe our lying eyes, as we see these gangs come in with all kinds of, equipment and crowbars or whatever they're using to break open these apartment buildings. And at the same time, we were talking to people living in the apartment buildings. So they didn't want to make it look like there was a problem, but whatever their motivation was, it was a lie. Now we know that Tren de Aragua has organizations in every major city in the United States. And this was really emphasized, I think it was in October, when Martha Raddatz said to J.D. Vance at the debate, when he started talking about the Venezuelan gangs, TDA, taking over apartment complexes. And she like chides him, and she says, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the facts here. And it's limited to a handful of apartment complexes. So that's okay. Look, we've got some issues here. And that's where he said his famous line of, yes, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? Exactly. Since 2022, they have spent $350 million on illegals in Colorado. $350 million. And the victims now are more afraid of the migrants than they are of the police. So at least now they're reporting these cases to the police. But we've got to understand that there is a cultural distinction. They come here, many of them, from countries where cartels run things. And their values are different than ours, and they think that they can come here and exercise the same kind of behavior. And America is complicit, especially the left, in sanctuary cities. Because in these sanctuary cities, they're saying, come to our city. We're not going to agree with ICE or deportation. And so what's going to happen is every sanctuary city is going to be loaded with those criminal illegals who do not want to be deported. That's where hell is going to start burning. All right. Now, two things that I think are important. In every matter, in every state where there is a crime committed by an illegal, there should be an enhanced punishment, one step up. Because you shouldn't be here in the first place. That's number one. And I don't give a darn if you came in on the CBP app. That's not legal as far as I'm concerned. And number two, if you kill an American citizen, there's got to be a death penalty for you.
What about the victims in this crime here who are afraid to come forward?
Well, what it looks like to me, and it seems to be happening once a month, it's collection time. They're torturing these people because they have to pay not only the apartments, they have to pay them for their fake protection. Or worse, these are the ones who are collecting from the traffickers. So there's families having their fingernails pulled out. That's for information. Where's the money? When are you going to have the money? They're not killing them. They're torturing them. Right. I don't understand in any country in the world that as a mayor, you could sit there and be like, it happens a little bit. If it happens to one person, we would all be outraged. If there was one house in our neighborhood that this happened to, neighborhood watches would be formed. But the fact that they're not doing anything to these, and you want people to come out and say, hey, I need help, it's past that. They are getting tortured, their loved ones in other places. Maybe, we keep talking about where are these children? These might be the parents who are still trying to get their children, but they don't have the money, so they're getting tortured. Who are they on the phone with the whole time when you see these guys kicking in doors, answering other things? The fact that we would even have to wait to January 20. Where are the policemen? Where is the FBI? They should be cracking down. This should have never have happened once. The fact that we're even talking about it is disgusting. And these families, eventually, they're not going to report because everyone in that apartment thing heard the screams, saw what happened. I'm sure they videotaped it, and they showed everyone, if you don't pay us, this is what's going to happen to you. So it's just going to continue to grow. And eventually, it's going to spill out. And it's going to start happening in the middle-class neighborhoods where they start showing up. And then it won't be until it happens into the mayor's front yard well, you'll see something happen. I hope it doesn't get that far.
And I think that this gang has presence in 29 cities, Jesse.
Yep. Yeah, it's debt bondage, you're right. So they paid the traffickers money to get smuggled, and then they owe them. And they'll never be able to work it off because why would they let you work it off? So you have millions of people who are here illegally, and they have to do whatever they're told or else they're going to get tortured. And this is going to go on for years. This could never end. So I don't see anything stopping this at all. And it's drug trafficking, sex trafficking, kidnapping, carjacking, everything's on the table. And these are poor apartment complexes. What are you going to do if there's just one door in front of you? You have people right now, CEOs of healthcare companies, hiring around-the-clock security. And even then, they don't feel safe. Every American needs to do an audit of their security at their house. They have to make sure they have firearms. You can do lights on timers. You can do motion lights. You can get Ring cameras, all sorts of cameras. Dogs.
Burner.
Because this is happening in broad daylight. This isn't happening at night, Jesse. This is broad daylight.
So it's broad daylight, and you don't even know who's in the gang. There could be someone scouting for a gang that could look like an old woman, and she's actually working for the gang, and she's just doing a security check of how your posture is. Do you have a dog? Do you have a gate? Do you have a security guard? Everything is now more dangerous than it was 4 years ago, and that's because of this guy. I'm pointing this way at Jessica, and she knows what I mean by the big guy.
Just thought you were calling me a dude.
Jessica, do you want to comment on Colorado, or you watch? I know that we were together watching the Eric Adams interview with Martha McCallum, and she touched on immigration quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I think that they're linked, and there's been a lot of discussion since the election results about what the mandate is for the Republicans right now. And I think you're looking at what the mandate is, that people in blue cities across this country voted their disapproval with how it's being managed. And this is one of the key reasons for that. Not only just the migrant crisis, and Mayor Adams said that we're getting 8,000 undocumented people per week, which was obviously completely unsustainable, but people are saying there is a safety issue for us, and this is part and parcel of that. And I do think this is one of the easiest ways for liberals to break with traditional sanctuary city policy, where you say this was never conceived to protect a gang member, right? This was never conceived to protect someone who was committing violent crime. And we want to change it. And whether you put it to a vote in front of the city council and let them deal with it, let them have all of those people show up like it happened in Chicago, right? Where they opened it up and everyone came in there saying, no, we're actually not interested in being managed that way, and let them deal with it and get voted out. Or you'll see a change where people like Michelle Wu in Boston will be so out of step with the general public that there will be forced consequences to it. I think that this is not a moment for resistance. This is a moment for cooperation to get the most dangerous undocumented people out of this country. And then we can have a conversation about everybody else.
Okay.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.